Alanyaspor stumbled in Gaziantep. Fenerbahce soared to victory while Besiktas achieved derby glory against Galatasaray. And Basaksehir Trabzonspor ends all square with 2 goals apiece. That and much more coming up. You're listening to Football a la Turca. Hello Turcaholics and welcome back to Football a la Turca. This is Season 2, Episode 9. My name is Kaan Bayazit and I'm joined once again by Umut Naderi, Yakup Marufoglu and the man of the law, Burak Sezgin. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hello lads.
And of course everyone is hearing that I'm a little step in my spring in my step.
That's the word. You sound happier than usual, Kaan.
Yeah, well, it's a mixed bag this week, of course, because we did have, of course, the European midweek fixtures, and let's just get right into that and gloss over it, because I think Fenerbahce fans won't be interested much since they're not in Europe anyway. Besiktas, Trabzonspor, and Galatasaray fans aren't going to be in Europe much longer, probably. Galatasaray may still make it to the Europa League, but that'll be tough too, and we don't probably have many Basaksehir fans listening, so let's delve right into that. Galatasaray Real Madrid was the first match up during the midweek, of course, in the Champions League. Galatasaray losing for the second time at home in the group stages, 1-0 again. Previously, they of course lost 1-0 against Paris Saint-Germain. And in the other match in that group, I believe Paris Saint-Germain trashed Club Brugge 5-0 on the road. So it could have been much worse for Galatasaray the previous match day. But this one ending 1-0, Toni Kroos getting the only goal of the match here in the 18th minute. Then moving over to Thursday, the first fixture on Thursday was Besiktas Sporting Braga. That match ending 1-2. Also, second straight home defeat in Europe for Besiktas there. Ricardo Horta getting the scoring started in the 38th minute. Umut Naderi equalized in the 71st minute for Besiktas, but in the 80th minute, Wilson Eduardo made it 1-2. Have to point out that was blatantly offside. Besiktas also missed a penalty roughly 60 seconds after they had equalized, but Adem Ljajic hit the post. Maybe a little unfortunate for Besiktas that they didn't have a VAR, because the goalkeeper was off his line pretty quickly too on the penalty. Should have been taken over perhaps. I also think he got a touch to the ball, so probably should have. And then of course the offside goal. And then Trabzonspor losing at home 2-0 against Krasnodar. Marcus Berg getting the first goal for Krasnodar in the 45th minute, and then in the second minute of stoppage time in the second half, Tony Valera made it 2-0, so a little bit of an Eredivisie tint there. Quickly to Umut, your thoughts on the Galatasaray Real Madrid match?
Well, just in the start of the game, we found 3 really open chances, and we couldn't score them because I think Andone was quite unlucky in front of goal, and after missing those chances against a team like Real Madrid, you're not going to find any other chances. So at the second half, we couldn't find any chances because, as we said before in the recent weeks, Galatasaray has some problems in attacking phase. They cannot get into positions, and this was the same as last week's, and eventually you're gonna concede against Real Madrid because they'll score. Also, Muslera was taking a big part there, avoiding a big margin because he saved a lot of goals in the game, like 11 or 12 saves in the game, single-handedly prevented a really big defeat for Galatasaray. So that's that.
Yeah, a recurring team against Paris Saint-Germain, of course. Muslera saved several big goal-scoring opportunities as well there. Here again, and then later in the weekend against Besiktas, he again made some really good saves. Let's move over to Trabzonspor then. Your thoughts on the match there, Yakup?
I watched the Besiktas game before, and it was such a long day for me.
Catch me, I
just couldn't watch the game, to be honest. I got so pissed off at the team. It was really weird to see a team that does so well in Turkey, and it looks like a world beater in Turkey, to be a team that can't string two passes together. The only good thing was Sosa was pretty good, and otherwise I left the game at like the 60th minute or something like that, so I didn't even see the second goal.
Boo, weakling. I watched the entire match against Liverpool on Anfield, the one that ended
you're the bigger man
in a poor result for us. Not the 1-0, mind you. I did also, speaking of 1-0s, I did forgot to mention Basaksehir actually won against Wolfsburg 1-0 in the 78th minute. Irfan Can got the only goal of the match there. So, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Is that the first Turkish victory in the group stages this season? I think it is, right?
It's fucking depressing.
It was a really nice goal, though.
It is really depressing. I kind of have a little bit. I think Besiktas could have gotten the win here again. It's weird because Besiktas have been really poor this season and in the Europa League too. Yet I feel like they could have beaten both Braga and Wolverhampton, because both Wolverhampton and Braga didn't impress me either. Of course, in Bratislava, that's. They should have at least gotten a point there. Of course, you should always win there. But Besiktas have had a weird European campaign so far. And this was just one of those matches where everything that can go wrong, could go wrong, happened again, it felt like. Missing the penalty, then minutes later conceding. What was it? Minutes later, like 8 minutes or so later, they conceded. And again, I feel like I just don't understand why UEFA have not implemented VAR in the group stages of the Europa League. Now here it's Besiktas are it impacted Besiktas negatively. In Bratislava, it impacted them positively. I think if there was VAR in Bratislava, Karius would have gotten sent off after 18 minutes or something. So it's not just because here it doesn't benefit Besiktas, but I think in general, we're talking about European football. It has a lot of financial impact on these clubs. And obviously the Champions League yields a lot more financial gain than the Europa League. But there's a lot of smaller clubs in the Europa League, and for them, 375,000 euros for a victory is a lot of money. I would argue that for Turkish clubs right now, 375,000 euros is a welcome amount of cash to alleviate some financial pressure. So I really hope that next season's edition of the Europa League, we're going to see VAR, because with these referees in the Europa League, I do feel that they're always going for these second string types of refs, like what was it against Slovan Bratislava? We had a referee from Estonia who was absolutely dreadful. I didn't feel this ref was particularly great either. And it's just a recurring theme in the Europa League. It feels like that there's a lot of lesser referees. Of course, in the Champions League, you have shit referees too, from Scotland, and so I'm not going to mention any names. But hopefully next season in the Europa League, we'll see VAR, as we do now, of course, have in the Champions League and in the Turkish League, for heaven's sake. So Europa League should definitely have it. Let's move on to the Super League then, guys. On Friday, we had the first match, which was Rizespor Ankaragücü. This match ending 2-0. Goals here coming from Brian Samudio in the 28th minute from the penalty spot, and Fernando Boldrin in the 60th minute to make it 2 for Rizespor Ankaragücü, losing after holding Besiktas to a 0-0 draw last week. And Yakup is going to tell us a little bit more about this match.
So generally, there is a little bit of feud between Rize and Trabzonspor that is pretty much known for the last couple of years. So it was a little bit weird for me to watch the game. I'm not one to get into feuds, so don't get me wrong. But it was a fun game. It started pretty quick. Ankara looked like the better team in the first like 15 minutes or so, and I thought, oh, they might get this one, but it didn't go that well. There was I got a couple positions. There was like a handball from a corner where in the first half, I think, where Riza should have gotten a penalty, gotten a penalty. It looked like a player got the ball in his arm, but I'm not sure. The reverse view with slow motion.
I think the arm was on his back though, like it was like sweeping behind him or something, right?
Yeah, it was that one.
Yeah.
I have to give props to Korjan. Really great goalkeeping. Saved the team a lot in this game. The goal for Rize was the first goal was really great. Atama with a wonderful pass, and Bodrin just kept the ball in front of him and just finished it really well. In 90 minutes, as I said, the first half, the first like 15-20 minutes, Ankara just seemed a little bit better. But if you look at the whole game, I think that Rize deserved the win, and they probably could have gotten more goals. But that's football.
A man of the law, what did you think of the penalty? And what did you think of that penalty that wasn't given? That handball, should it have been a penalty?
I don't think so. No, looking at the law, he can't really say his hands in an unnatural position. He's not like stuck it out, and the ball's landed behind him, so he's not even looking. It's not made a effect on the ball, so it's not taking away a goal scoring opportunity. It's not preventing a clear goal scoring opportunity. The position of the hand is it's like mid height and it's dropping from above. So looking at the laws and how they should be interpreted, for me, that's not a penalty. I mean, we saw some even worse shouts for penalties this week, and a free kick actually in one of my games I'll be talking about in a bit. But no penalty, correct decision. But in Turkey, everyone shouts for everything at the moment and then complain about it afterwards. It's like dish of the weekend. It's just annoying.
Yeah, true. Let's move on to Saturday. Sivasspor taking on Antalyaspor, and they beat them 2-1. Second straight loss for Antalyaspor, if I'm not mistaken. Emre Kılınç here getting the goal scoring started in the 51st minute. Then Mustafa Yatabare scored the second in the 77th minute. And then finally, Serdar Özkan pulled one back from the penalty spot in the 83rd minute to make it 2-1. And Umut is going to speak a little bit more on this match.
Well, Antalyaspor were in a need for a win after their defeat of 6-0 last week against Gençlerbirliği to stand up, because it was a nightmare for them last week. However, Sivasspor were the better side throughout the game, and most of their chances were coming from Emre Kılınç. To be honest, he dominated the game for Sivasspor side, played with a goal and an assist to Mustafa Yatabare, as you said. Antalyaspor seemed a little clumsy in their defense and made too many defensive errors during the game. One of them cost a goal. Ondrej Chaluska lost the ball while building up play from the back, and Mustafa Yatabare himself carried the ball into the box, and the goal came from a tap-in from Emre Kılınç, man of the match, if you ask me. And time Antalyaspor found some chances with the forward zones of Nazım Sangare, however, failed to find a net. Their goal came from a controversial penalty call as Serdar Özkan fell inside the box and scored a penalty kick himself. But Sivasspor deserved the 3 points, and they were the better side whole game.
I have to say I've been really impressed with Mustafa Yatabare this season. I think Yakup spoke about it a couple of weeks ago that he wasn't that much of a success at Trabzonspor. I thought he was a wet noodle at Konyaspor, but he has been ferocious this season for Sivasspor. He's been great. yeah, there's a reason why he's keeping Aruna Kone out of the team. I really liked their first goal. I thought Yatabari did everything a pivot striker should do there. He did perfectly. Played the ball into the winger just on time. I'm not sure who gave the cross there to Emre, and then of course simple tap in for Emre, but a perfectly crafted goal there, and Mustafa Yatabari playing a great role in that, and then of course scoring the second one himself. So he's having a great season. Man of the law, what did you think of the penalty for Antalyaspor?
No, I think if you're going to go sliding in at a player running at pace, then any slight touch, and I think there was a slight touch. Serdar Özkan, maybe he was clever, left his foot in, kind of new, because he's been around the block, so he knows how to play the game. He knows how to, let's not say fool the referee, but he knows how to make the most out of a situation to grab the penalty. So a few weeks ago, if Florian Andone had gone down for Galatasaray, he would have got a penalty, and that's the kind of thing that he should be watching, thinking, this is Turkey. You don't get nothing for continuing your run and staying on your feet. You need to go down in that situation. I think Serdar Özkan was always going to go down, and I have no argument with that being a penalty.
Very clear. Then let's move on to the next match. Gaziantep Football Club takes on Alanyaspor, and they hold them to a 1-1 draw. The leaders, of course, in the Turkish Super League. And the goals here coming from Papi Cisse in the 33rd minute. But then Kanabyuk made an equalizer in the 90th minute. Well, in extra time, well into extra time for Gaziantep. And made it 1-1. And Burak is going to speak a little bit more on this match.
Yeah, this is an interesting match for me to watch. Of course, with Alanya being top and Gaziantep Football Club are having a little bit of a resurgence, completely throwing off the shine of that initial loss on the opening match day to Fenerbahce. It was a decent start to the game. It was open-ended. Both sides were attacking. I think it was, is it Jefferson Martinez for Alanyaspor? Completely butchered his name or got it completely wrong. Their left winger with the blonde frosted hair, he was causing problems down the left-hand side.
From Alanyaspor, you mean Junior Fernandez?
Junior Fernandez, yes. So
There's a Jefferson there too. I think he plays for Gaziantep though.
Yeah, so I've got my J players starting with a J mixed up. But yeah, Junior Fernandez was causing some problems. Gaziantep Football Club, but they were getting forward, but not really crafting too much of any, let's say, threat. Papi Cisse pops up with a goal following a defensive error from, I'm just going to call him GFK, from now on at Gaziantep Football Club, the GFK, there we go, nice and simple. So individual mistake from GFK, the Papi Cisse capitalized on that, popped a goal in again, and he just continues his run of scoring. I think he's up to 9 goals now.
Yep, 9 and 9.
So averaging a goal a game. He's still missing his fair share of them, but still managing to pop them away. GFK came back. They had a goal disallowed for offside, which was correct. I can't remember the name of the player who scored it. It was either Tosi or what was it? I've not written this down actually. I just know that the goal was a correct offside call because he was in front of the ball when it was played into him for the header. So, but that showed you that GFK have got the attacking prowess. They have a lot of quick, strong players that can get forward. But really, what happened next is Alanya kept knocking on the door. And they had a few good chances. I think the one that stuck out the most, as we know, is the one that hit the post from Papi Cisse. Had that gone in,
done and dusted.
You get your bags, you go back home. No way GFK are coming back from that. But then you said in the 90th minute, ridiculous free kick given to GFK. I didn't think this was a foul at all. As you've seen it in slow motion many times, the player, I think he just goes down to win the free kick. And because there's a couple of GFK players around him, I don't know why the referee. Obviously, I don't think the referee can go to VAR for the award of a free kick like that. It's just on his assumption, and it was a complete non-free kick. The ball gets played into the box, and you've got our man Kanabik, who's been popping up throughout the game. He's been causing a bit of a nuisance, not had any clear-cut chances, apart from the one that was ruled for offside, but he just pops in the header. I think Alanyaspor can feel very hard done by here that they didn't come away with the 3 points. It's just one of those sorts of games where you're having a good period of play, you're creating chances, you've just not managed to put them away, especially the one that's gone and hit the post, and then a completely ludicrous decision to give that free kick that was never a free kick results in a ball coming into the box and the header being scored. It's good for Fenerbahce, of course, because you've got Alanyaspor dropping points and us winning. So I was happy to see that, but you can't help but feel that on the way back to Alanya on the bus, they'd just be, Errol must be, sick to his stomach, thinking how we not come away with 3 points here. But still, you see that Alanyaspor are still playing really good football. They're creating chances. Pape Cisse is still scoring. Efecan is doing really well. He came off after 64 minutes, so I'm not sure if that was an injury or if he's just, he was tired playing in Gaziantep. But it goes to show that they can still cause trouble, so they're not showing any signs of going away anytime soon. I think when they start to maybe get a few more injuries piling up, because you've got the cup starting now as well in Turkey. So if Cisse gets an injury and drops out, if Efecan gets an injury and drops out, that's when you can start to see maybe them dropping off a bit, because I don't know who else is going to be scoring goals for them. Maybe Junior Fernandez can step up, because he looked very good as well, like a good, tricky, wide player that can go past people. He was unlucky not to score at the start of the game. So if you want the too long, didn't read narrative, Alanyaspor, I'd say, robbed of 3 points by that ludicrous referee's decision, which led to a goal from Gaziantep in the 91st minute. So
yeah, and they've had their fair share of decisions going against them. I'd argue. I mean, the penalty against Besiktas that they should have gotten at 1-0. And then, of course, these are small details. Of course, a free kick. It's not a massive decision, but it is when it leads to a goal like this. So, very unfortunate loss of points for Alanyaspor, but a great point for Gaziantep, though. And I did still feel that Gaziantep, despite Alanyaspor being a good side, still had their fair moments in the match and continue to show that they aren't just a newly promoted side ready to go back down straight away. I think they're here to stay.
They play fearless football sometimes, and also there was no red cards for them this match, so I don't know what happened.
Well, what's his face wasn't on the pitch because he was suspended, so that's why.
We'll wait for him to come back and he'll go off again. There we go.
Well, let's move on to the next one then. Fenerbahce trashing Konyaspor 5-1. Of course, Konyaspor without goalkeeper Serkan Kerintili after his stupendous red card last week, and his backup, his reserve, didn't fare well here in Kadıköy because he had to turn around 5 times. 5-1 was the full-time scoreline. Gary Rodriguez here getting the scoring started in the 11th minute, making it 1-0. Just 3 minutes later, Zanka Matthias Jurgensen scored and made it 2-0. Then another 2 minutes later, Konyaspor managed to pull one back through a Serdar Aziz's own goal, but in the 28th minute, Ozan Tufan made it 3-1, and then it was a while before we would see another goal, but Luis Gustavo popped up in front of goal in the 78th minute and made it 4-1 from the edge of the box, and then Vedat Muric with a fantastic strike from outside the box made it 5-1 in the 82nd minute. Burak, not much of a competitive match here. Aykut Kocaman sent packing and back to Konya. He'll probably have on a sour prune after this one.
Oh, definitely. I think you've got the Fenerbahce that we saw in the first couple of games of the season were back to pretty much full strength here, barring we had Max Kruse injured, but Hasan Ali Dirar I mean, Hassan Ali and Isla starting on as left and right back. We've got Serdar Aziz back from injury. I think he's definitely, him and Zanka should be our first choice centre backs. Too many individual errors from Jarlson. And then the midfield. So again, lots of left-footed players again. So Gustavo, Emre, and Ozan having a nice little triangle there. But I think the difference made was obviously having Gary Rodriguez and Victor Moses back on the wings. The story of the match was Fenerbahce attacking with pace down the wings. You could see it in the first, I think, 10 minutes. We had a chance created by Gary Rodriguez cutting down the left-hand side, passing the ball, scurrying it to Vedat Muric, who came off the Konyaspor goalkeeper, palmed it onto the post, and it came off. And then again, the first goal, again, attacking down the wing. Rodriguez running down there, had a nice little interchange with Emre, and then he fired in a rocket of a shot that I don't think any goalkeeper would have saved. It was just one of those things where, Gary Rodriguez likes to have a shot. We've seen him do it in previous games. This time it was one of the occasions that it came off, and very happy for him. The second goal, created by Victor Moses. He danced through the defence, popped it into Zanka, and in it went. Ozan Tufan, he's just playing with really real amount of confidence. I think even though we played him at right back out of position when we had those injuries, I think the fact we kept him in the first 11, and like we mentioned a few weeks ago as well, that he actually started his career as a right back at Bursaspor, and
Ersin clearly has instilled a lot of confidence and has a lot of confidence in him, and that's reflecting now from his bravado on the pitch.
Yeah, you can see he's making less mistakes. I think he's got a good unit around him as well. So he's got Emre there to help him. He's got Max Kruse there to help him. He's now got Luis Gustavo next to him, who is a rock, and he loves a bit of rough and tumble and the push, which we'll come on to in a short while. But
he's gonna get sent off or give away a penalty sooner or later. It's absolutely unavoidable.
It is like it's one of those like bets you want to place. At which game week is it going to happen? The goal we let in is just one of those freak accidents. It was like one of the first or second Konyaspor attacks, and it just comes off Serdar and loops over Altay. And those just happen sometimes. You can't account for it. You can't defend them. Maybe 9 times out of 10, that just hits the one of the two players that goes out for a goal kick, goes out for a corner. But nothing to worry about. Fenerbahce reset, and then we got the third goal, a great finish by Ozan, and then we just kind of controlled the game. I think the fact that we had a good solid back four with Gustavo in front of them, marshalling around, he likes to play tight and snug. So,
plus Konya are a side that once they fall behind, they're not likely to get back into it, especially if there's like a 2-goal deficit. Like Konya are a typical side that hope to keep the nil and then hit you on the counter or something. But they're very poor in coming back, I always feel.
And they were playing away from home as well, and you've got the crowd behind. Couple of substitutions made. Tolga Ciğerci came on for Emre, so obviously Emre, picking up an injury again, playing the amount he can. It was 3-1 when Emre came off, so not too much to worry about. And then Mr. Chronic Sakat, Serdar Aziz, but he still manages to play, unlike Falcao, I may add. Still gets his minutes in.
More like Gökhan Gönül, maybe.
Yeah, I guess you could say. I think Serdar Aziz is probably a little bit more injury player than Gökhan Gönül, but
Gökhan's always playing injured, basically.
He's played, the amount of injections he's had in his life, my God. On came Sadık, the forgotten man. He came in last winter transfer window, big hopes for Malachi, but he came into a team and a squad and just a club that was just completely trashed up and just lacking confidence in every single aspect of the pitch. So he probably didn't come in at the right time, and we've tried to rehab him a little bit and rebuild him. He plays with a lot of confidence, but he's scrappy and a little bit messy. And this could be seen from the fact that he came on, he made an amazing sliding tackle, got the ball, and then proceeded to give it away straight away with his first pass. And I thought that's just archetypal classics Sadek. And then obviously we wanted to get another sub in. Oh, that bell ringing is my cat scratching himself, by the way.
I thought it was like a cocktail or a cocktail glass or something.
No, it's too early for cocktails. But on came Alper Potuk. This man's been getting some minutes the last couple of weeks. He's been coming on for like 7 or 8 minutes here and there, and he's just been giving a 6, 7 out of 10 performance, maybe a 6, I could say, because he just doesn't do much, but he doesn't completely kill our gameplay. So at the end of the day, he's sacrificed wages to stay with the club. So I'm happy to see him getting on the pitch and contributing in whatever way he can. He seems to be working hard in training and not causing any problems either. So he's not like spoken out on any social media. He's just kind of listened, he to the tepki, to the fans saying, God, he's on this much money, his contract is for this long. But he's kind of said, okay, I'll take a reduction. And he's just put his head down and got on with his business. So I'm happy to see him coming on. And then you've had 4 goals. And obviously Vedat is probably pissed off at this point. He's thinking, these motherfuckers, they've scored 4 and he missed a couple of chances. He's hit the post.
Should have really scored that first one, yeah.
Yeah, well, and then he had a shot with his right foot, the classic sliding right foot shot that went over, which I think he should have left for Emre, who had a better chance. And I just think with that anger, he just got the ball, picked up the ball from Maurizio Isla, played it in, and he just ran. He just ran at the Konya's defenders, and they just kind of parted and backed off, and he just unleashed a rifle of a left foot shot. And I'm like, yeah, that's our boy. I think that's his 5th goal of the season. So very happy.
His 5th? Wait, isn't it like a 6th or something already?
No, it's his 5th.
Okay.
He does go the odd. I think when we lacked our wide players, we just couldn't get the ball to him, so he was left on his own.
Yeah, a dry spell for like 3 or 4 games, right?
Yeah, but now he's got the service coming in. I think I missed out on the 4th goal by Gustavo actually. So this was towards the end of the game, like 79th, 80th minute, I think, and Konyaspor, they were just laborious coming out of defence, and you could tell that Gustavo, he's just got iron lungs. He just his stamina is so good, and he's just got very good cardio. He just completely ran at the Konyaspor player, took the ball off him, launched a shot towards goal. I think it took a little bit of a deflection, but he'd worked hard for that little bit of luck. Looped over the Konya keeper. What was it? Tashkaran. Ertuğrul. There we go. And it just,
What, you don't remember him?
Well, Ertuğrul, well, some players you just have to expunge from your memory, right? Yeah. But we didn't see much of Faruk Mia. He was pretty much nullified. I think he came up against, a good defence. Gustavo, I think he continues to be an inspired purchase. He's added some steel to the midfield, where you have people like Emre and Ozan Cruiser when he's in there. Even Tolga Ciğerci can get on the ball, pass it around a bit. Whereas Gustavo is pretty much like that enforcer. And like I say, he's got a wonderful moustache and delightful hair. And as he scored and he was running towards the bench, you could just see his hair bouncing up and down and the sweat flying off. And I thought that is just, a portrait moment.
Should I insert some Queen while you speak about his moustache?
No, I want the Soul Glow theme from Coming to America. Definitely. That's
when they're all sitting again in the couch and they get up and there's like this huge stain of the Soul Glow.
That's what it is.
When
you see a picture of him, you're like, it's the Soul Glow. He's the heir to the kingdom.
Oh, great!
Fantastic.
The royal penis is clean, Your Highness.
Indeed, it is. Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, you had a little bit of a back and forth during the match. Umut, do you have anything to talk about here? Because I have to admit, I only watched the highlights. I didn't see that hand that got pulled back. That was, I think Yakup said something about that. I really didn't notice that. Is there anything you guys would like to add, or?
I think the Luis Gustavo position was controversial. Man of the Law said that it wasn't even a penalty, but I could say it's a push by Luis Gustavo there because it was obvious, and also that position led to a goal to Ozan.
The tree one,
Tufan's
right?
goal. Yeah,
right.
Ozan Tufan's goal. So
But was that in the box?
yes, inside the box.
Okay. Man of the law? What do you think?
It's football, man. It's not, it's a contact sport. Come on.
You cannot,
What
look, you cannot push a guy like that inside the box.
Yeah, you can. You just get him out of the way.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna watch this again. Cause I remember seeing it and thinking, not really enough for me. But I'll just watch
to get away from me.
I'll just watch it again, just to make everyone happy. Let's see. Oh, of course, I'm getting a commercial. Of course.
Of course, because it was the build up to the third goal.
Oh wait, might want to mute this. Might get copyright. Oh, who cares? They barely showed it. Whatever. Yeah. Yakup, anything to add?
No, not really. I only talked about the goalkeeping thing to get him to be angry, but but other than that, not really. I saw the goal of Muric and I was like, that dude is so good. That I didn't expect him to be so good at Fenerbahce, with all the pressure and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy is killing it, man. It was really, really good.
Really is.
Raw meat. He's a family man, happily married. He's got a kid. He just works hard, gets his head down. He's got a good relationship. He's loved and adored by the fans. He is I want to say he's one of my favourite left-footed players to have made such a big impact since Balic.
All right, Balic. I was thinking of Balic.
Yeah. Ended Balic, but who left after a season thanks to John fucking Toshak. So fuck you, Toshak.
Well, that's what you get for calling him Tashak.
I never said that.
No, you didn't, but your fans did.
Yeah, he took our bloody beloved Bosnian away, so he got sacked.
Let's move on.
Yeah, I'm done.
Let's move on to Sunday. Malatyaspor, Kayserispor. Kayserispor continue their woeful ways and lose 4-0 here in Malatya. Goals here coming from Mitchell Donald in the 14th minute. In the 77th minute from the penalty spot, Adis Jahovic scored. Then Thierry Bifuma made it 3-0 in the 86th minute. And in added time, Ben Rienstra scored an own goal to make it 4-0. Another unfortunate match for Kayserispor, who remain bottom of the table. Umut is going to tell us a little bit more about this match.
Well, Kayserispor are going through very tough times as we pass the week 9. They are currently lying on the bottom of the table with just 4 points and the only team without any wins in Super League until now. Before the game, Sametaybo mentioned they were working around their attacking plans about using the spaces and gaps in opposition defense against Malatyaspor, and with that, hopefully they may be able to find some opportunities in front of goal. However, the game wasn't quite how he expected to be. I don't know why, but he suddenly benched Ayman Abdenour after he took over. And the replacement he put on the field, Rienstra, didn't do better than Abdenour did in the previous games, to be honest. I don't know. These coach replacements come with these kind of things. I remember when Hagi came to us and suddenly benched Misimovic to show their dominance on players. I don't know why they do this. It can be something like that. On the other hand, Malatyaspor are going really well with Sergen Yalchin, 4 goals in the game. And Adis Jahovic is still following Papis Sisse of Alanyaspor with 8 goals, and Sisse leading it by 9 goals. Kayserispor made too many defensive errors during the game, and Malatyaspor used those chances really well. And the fourth goal, really an unfortunate event for Silvio Lung. One of the worst things that can happen to a goalkeeper, as the ball bounced in front of him and he is about to kick it and just
Fevzi.
rolled into the net. Yeah, remind me of that Fevzi Tuncay incident back in 2000 in the Besiktas Galatasaray derby.
I think that won you the goddamn title.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he was also like.
Wasn't it 99? I think we ended on level points or something, or like 82, 84 or something.
Yeah, it's the same season that we got the UEFA Cup, but I don't remember if it's like the first half of the season or the second half. Is that the Fevzi Tuncay incident? He also did something similar, and the most recent example would be the Harun Tekin from last season. He also did something similar to...
And Volkan against Schalke, I think. Something like that.
Yeah.
Turkish goalkeepers and kicking over the ball, although Lung, of course, is not a Turk.
He also took the genes of the air.
Goalkeepers in Turkish employment is what we'll call it then.
Also, Aqua played with 2 assists and bossed the midfield for Yeni Malatyaspor. A great transfer for Malatyaspor this season. You might have heard of him from Serie A, as he played for Torino and Parma at the time. A good fit for our league. Tenacious, enduring midfielder, and makes me think of the Galatasaray former guy, Ndiaye. Really similar kind of play, but used less to the defensive phase and more attacking wise. Also, the fourth goal came from his boots with a great assist, clearly the man of the match. Game ended 4-0, a great run for Sergen Yalçın and Malatyaspor, but a nightmare for Kayserispor for sure.
Definitely. And let's move on to the next match. Gençlerbirliği Denizlispor, 2 other teams in the bottom regions of the table. Gençlerbirliği coming off their 6-0 trashing of Antalyaspor last week, of course, but they could not follow it up with more success as they lose 2-0 at home against Denizlispor. Goals here coming from Olcay Şahan in the 34th minute, and finally a penalty from Radoslav Murawski in added time in the second half, making it 2-0. And Yakup is going to tell us a little bit more about this one.
So as I said 2 weeks ago, I started a league where I am managing Denizlispor. So to see them win is pretty nice. This match was a little bit weird. It's a really good match for the neutral. I'm pretty sure that if you are a Gençlerbirliği fan, that you hated this match. Like in the first half, I think there was a penalty shout for Gençlerbirliği where it looked like a player of theirs was in the box and he was pulled down. I thought it was a penalty.
Yeah, me too.
But the ref didn't do anything. The VAR didn't say anything, so I thought it was weird. I wanted to say the black and red jersey of Gençlerbirliği, even though it's really simple, it's really, really beautiful. As an ex-Trabzonspor player, it's always nice to see Olcay do well. So it's nice to see him get on the score sheet. It wasn't really a particularly great goal, but it was nice build-up by Denizlispor. But the game was so weird because Gençlerbirliği was pretty much dominating. They shot a lot on goal, had a lot of chances, but they just couldn't get it in the net. It wasn't particularly because the keeper of Denizli was good or anything, but it seemed that they pretty much had no chance at all. You know,
they used up all their gunpowder like last week.
Yeah, probably. So it as I said, it was really a great game for the neutral fan. But if you are a Gençlerbirliği fan, I'm pretty sure that a lot of screens in Ankara have been kicked or punched or something, because they deserved a lot more. Denizlispor just scored the goals when it needed. The penalty in the 94th minute, I think, that was just the nail in the coffin. In my opinion, it's not like Denizlispor deserved this one. It's just that Gençlerbirliği just couldn't get it done. So, yeah, great game for the neutral.
Burak, did you manage to catch that penalty position that Yakup is referring to in the first half for Gençlerbirliği?
Have I been called upon?
Yes, did you manage to catch that penalty position for against Sterling early on in the first half that Yakup was referring to? I think it was on Stanku.
Do you know what? I don't actually remember that. I did watch the highlights for this game, but I just think I was just in a different world. So
were you smoking shisha again?
Must have been, yeah, nice flavour. Was that the kind of the incident where the Denizlispor player puts his arm in front of his chest and kind of brings him down, like almost like a reverse clothesline type situation?
Yeah. If you look at the highlights on the site, it's like the first highlight of the game.
I remember thinking, isn't that a penalty? That should be a penalty, I think. I don't know.
I mean, you can debate if it's like too soft, if he goes down too soft, but with the view and with the side view, it did look like he went down really, because he was pulled down.
Yeah, it wasn't a theatrical dive like the one we had for the GFK Gaziantep Football Club free kicked out where there was completely no contact. Looking at this, penalties have been given for this in the league this season. So I've got no idea why this didn't go to VAR, because it's a clear obstruction. He's stopping the player the player from reaching the ball. So
it was in the box, right?
It was in the box. It was just outside the 6-yard area. So I have no idea why the referee has decided to just dismiss this. Maybe it was early in the match and he just couldn't be bothered to get his speaker out and go to VAR. But for me, judging by the rules, that's clear obstruction. That should be a penalty. So, and if that gets given, it's a completely different game.
Maybe the system was offline again.
Yeah, maybe they were using it to order in some kebabs or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Tough deal for against Sterling. I think if they get a penalty there, it's a completely different match. And like Yakup said, they probably were the better side, but they end up losing 2-0. So they continue to dangle down below at the bottom of the table. Let's move over to the next one. Göztepe takes on Kasımpaşa. But this one not ending well for the home side once again, as Kasımpaşa are the ones that come out as winners 1-4. Goals here coming from Haris Hayradinovic in the 27th minute. It was a really well taken long shot, but it kind of came out of nothing. Then Berkan Emir scored on a corner, directly from a corner in the 45th minute. Ricardo Quaresma converted a spot kick in the 51st minute. And then Mustafa Pektemek scored, I think also from distance in the 86th minute. And then Yusuf Erdogan also scored from distance in the 90th minute. Alright, yeah. And Beto, you could say, once again costing his team because he, of course, gave away that penalty. Took too long playing around with the ball at his feet, then slipped, and then made a penalty fall on, I want to say Mustafa Pektemek, but I'm not 100% sure there. But that's the second time already this season that Beto costs his team dearly. And Burak is going to tell us a little bit more about this match.
Oh, God, now we've been talking about the Cameron Jerome effect, but I think we need to slot and change it now for the better effect, because like you say, what the hell was he thinking? He likes to make these like aesthetic saves, like he made one in the game. I don't know if it's to do with the fact that he's Portuguese and he's got that little bit of charisma or thing about him. But anyway, start of the game, we've got Quaresma seeing the yellow card for the stamp on the Göztepe players.
Could have easily been a red.
Easily been a red. I know we've seen similar challenges get reds before, but it's when they are above the ankle, right?
But I think it's also it kind of depends. I think I feel as if you hit the foot like a fraction of a second after the ball leaves the other guy's foot, or like when you're clearly both going for the same ball and the other one just gets like fraction of a second before there, I understand giving just the yellow, but here it kind of felt like the ball was gone already, and he could have held back, but he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, he's very lucky boy. I think it's Kasama. He's played the ball, and Quaresma comes charging in with his right foot. He stamps on him, and he leaves the foot in for a good while as well. Yeah. So again, I'm surprised this didn't go to VAR, because if you're looking at the rules, the EFAB rules, because, as we know, I'm a man of the law, and the law must be upheld. That comes into dangerous play and endangering an opponent's safety. Like I say, it's not as if they're going in at the same time and the ball gets nicked away just a fraction of a second sooner and the feet collide. This, you could class as an actual stamp with. And we know Quaresma, he's got that nasty streak aside him, so I'm not sure.
A couple of years ago against Yusuf Erdogan when Besiktas were playing Trabzonspor too, where he kicked him quite.
And this was at the start of the match, and it's the ball. It is in Göztepe's half, but there's nothing really going on. The match has just started, and you just stamp on him. So lucky to be on the pitch, I think, for that one. But then what happened is I think Beto could have done better for the first goal as well. There's a shot from distance, and it was quite near the post in which it got. So he tried to scramble across, but a good strike and a good goal. But I think Beto should be doing better from there. And
is his age getting to him, you think? Because I thought he was phenomenal this first season for Göztepe, and last season I think he was great. I mean, at one point I even said... well, we might have just gotten this guy. He's a cheap, quick fix. Okay, he's old, but at this point, it just seems like his age is starting to get to him a little. I think he's like 36, 37.
Yeah. There was another potential penalty shout for Göztepe. Similar with the ball falls and hits kind of almost glances the back of his hand, but I'm not sure if it even hits his hand on the Kasımpaşa player. So again, for me, that's no penalty. Goes off for a corner. But then, of course, as a child, as a kid, when you're playing football and the opposition has got a corner, you're taught to get the near post and the far post, just in case the ball comes and you can clear it. All right? That's what you're taught as kids when you're playing football. It's like that's defending corners 101. In this occasion, Göztepe have taken a corner. Kasımpaşa, they've got a player on the post.
Yeah, they do, right? Yeah.
And they've got another player in close vicinity, and you've got, the goalkeepers there as well. But they managed to score from a fucking corner with three players, and I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Because I saw the goal go in, and I'm like, oh, has someone got a touch on it? Has it been an own goal? But no, you watch it slowed down. It's a great corner. It's good curl, good technique. It comes in, but how has that gone through three Kasımpaşa players? Maybe the guy diving to try and head it away put the guy off on the post, and it's just gone in. And then I think it's Kemal Özdaş gets sent off for some reason. So you're like,
what was he complaining about there? I wonder about not properly preparing his team for corner kicks.
It's like I just think it's mad that you got three players on the near post, and they've scored direct from a corner. That is unexcusable. But that just happens. And then you've got the moment of Beto madness, where he tries to be a little bit clever, loses his footing, and he just dives in. And again, he also stabs on the opposite player's foot, and it's a definite penalty. Quaresma puts it away. Should he have been on the pitch? Probably not. But I think after that penalty, you saw the Göztepe player's heads drop a little bit, and he still managed to create a little bit of danger. They had a penalty shout, which was, I think, completely unfathomed. It hit the guy on the ass, basically. That's it. The ball slid under his arm and hit him on the ass.
Right,
so I'm like, you don't get penalties for the ball hitting you on your ass. And then as they went to seek out the goal, it's your Besiktas boys, Pektamek and Quaresma. Getting on the score sheet. You've got Pektamek here from outside the box. He's just Göztepe were caught on the counter attack, and then you had Yusuf, who was playing well, causing some trouble. He had that shot which Beto performed the aesthetic save on, which wasn't needed. He kind of flew like a bloody panther, jumping across a gorge. They pushed it out, but then Yusuf was put through just in behind the defence. A great pass, actually. I think it was Pektamek that assisted him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I know that Pektamek set up a really good opportunity right before that, but I'm not sure if he actually got the assist on the actual goal. But he did set up Yusuf couple minutes before that, because
Yeah,
Kasımpaşa had a bunch of chances there after the third one, I think, still.
Yeah, and it's just a really well taken goal by Yusuf, 1-on-1 with Beto, and it just puts it high and above to the keeper. So, a bit of a dodgy start from Kasımpaşa to the season, but they seem to be, 3 wins out of their last 6. So, that's a good run of form for them, and they played really well away from home at Göztepe. The stadium didn't seem that full as well, which was interesting.
I think they're still constructing their new one, right? And this is a temporarily solution, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
If it is, then that's something I do not know. But you would have thought that the fans, even if it was a temporary stadium, they would have showed out a little bit more better force. But, you've let in 4 goals at home to a Kasımpaşa team who are just having a little bit of a mini resurgence, and Göztepe, they're still, I think they're 15th now. They're around at the bottom of the table. Kasımpaşa, they're rising up. They might make a few more signings in January. There's talk of maybe Mehmet Ekici going there so he can stay in Istanbul. He'd be a decent signing for them. I don't know how many games they get out of him, but why you can keep him fit, he can pull the strings in midfield.
Well, you'll see that if he goes to Kasımpaşa, he manages to stay fit. That's usually how it goes with those types of players. But
again, a solid performance by Kasımpaşa, Göztepe, Cameron, Jerome, and Beto effect. I think what happened here is Beto completely sold his team down the river by giving away that penalty. Mm-hmm. But even if that hadn't happened, Göztepe, they just weren't creating many chances and opportunities, and it's a shame. It looks like they might be going to struggle again this season, but we wrote off Basaksehir at the start, and look at them now. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I think Göztepe has still got to be around the bottom half of the table this season alongside Kasımpaşa, but they were just outclassed by the Kasımpaşa team today.
Yeah, but with Mosoro and Napoleone, I do think they will pick up some points, and they may struggle, but I think they'll ultimately avoid relegation. Umut, what do you think? Is it time for Beto to maybe hang up the gloves, or is it just, unfortunate coincidence that he manages to cost them dearly in 2 games in the last couple of matches? Of course, that red card for the handball outside the box, not as ridiculous as Serkan's last week, but still pretty bad. And then, of course, this.
Yeah, because you would expect better from a goalkeeper with his caliber, Mm-hmm. Beto is a name from his past experiences. He's an international keeper, and I think he's getting really old, but there is no other choice for Göztepe right now. The Göktuğ, who is the reserve goalkeeper, is not quite well,
Yeah, and they lost Ertaç, right?
Or was Ertaç Özbir, also, when you look at the other teams, like after Serkan Kırıntılı's red card, mm-hmm. A similar thing happened to Konyaspor as well. Ertuğrul is nowhere near Serkan's quality. Mm-hmm. Most of the teams just get through it, And also, Beto is going into a bad mood after the weeks. He just wants to show off, I think. I don't know.
He reminds me a lot of Ömer Çatkiç.
Yeah, definitely. As Burak suggested earlier, he just dived like a panther. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. He just... what my father told me when I was young, that a good keeper never dives like that, because a good keeper would maintain a good position in front of the goal. Like... I haven't seen Tafarel or Mondragon dive like that. In occasion, okay, but when you do that too much, too often, it means that you are not in a good position on the goal line.
Yeah, a real top goalkeeper has a need to show off.
Yeah.
You never see Neuer or Courtois or those types of keepers.
Yeah.
De Gea is not a big fan. But let's move over to El Spastico, as Burak so lovingly put it this weekend in our little group chat. Besiktas Galatasaray. This match ending 1-0 to Besiktas. Goal coming, the only goal of the match coming here in the 69th minute via Umut Naderi, who scores 2 goals in a week's time, as he also, of course, scored against Sporting Braga. There he came on as a substitute. That was rewarded with a starting position against Galatasaray on Sunday. Two teams who have been in very poor form, have had huge struggles to find the back of the net as of late. This match was always going to end, I think, in a 1-0 or a 0-1, maybe a 0-2 on the counter or something like that. But I didn't expect many goals here. I have to say I was rather surprised by how many opportunities Besiktas managed to string together, as that's been their main issue this season. I feel like combining and creating clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities. But after just 30 or so seconds here, Diaby set up Umut Naderi with a one-on-one opportunity with Muslera. Muslera had a couple of good saves in this game. I think Galatasaray had one really good opportunity where I believe it was Feguli who laid it back and Andone who blasted it over in the first half. But apart from that, Umut, I don't really recall any real opportunities for Galatasaray.
Closest we get was the Necip's.
Right, yeah.
Right
At the end, I think it was in stoppage time, Necip almost beat Karius. And I want to take this opportunity now because I feel like Karius gets so much slack, and it's popular to hate on Loris Karius. I feel like, but I feel like outside that match against Slovan Bratislava this season, he has been really good. He was really good last week, I think, against Ankara Gücü. Didn't have much to do, but he just does what he has to do. And here again, I mean, he didn't have much work, but he caught the high balls, he ruled in the sky, he distributed really well, started off some quick counter-attacks, and he just instilled confidence in the back line, I felt. And of course, Muslera was good too, but I think, was it Özer who said a couple of weeks ago that the difference between Besiktas and Galatasaray is Muslera? I said that I don't agree with that. I stand by that now. I think Karius is a fine goalkeeper. Obviously, Muslera is arguably the best goalkeeper in the league. But I think Karius is a fine goalkeeper and one of the last places where Besiktas needs to look to find their solutions for their problems, because they have plenty of those. But I'm gonna throw to you first before I continue. I don't know if I have much left to say, but anyway, what did you feel about this match? What was your emotions coming out of this match? How did you feel about your team's performance, Fatih Terim's performance, and ultimately, did you feel it was a deserved win for Besiktas or a deserved defeat for Galatasaray, rather?
Well, you know better that initially, before the game, I wasn't expecting too much, to be honest, because as after seeing the lineup and seeing the same lineup again and again every week just messes with my head, and you don't expect too much from that lineup. And Besiktas started the game with too many of their players missing, and they started with a formation of 4-4-2, where the Caner and Lens were on the flanks, and Diaby and Umut Naderi partnered up front. You know.
Yeah, I think Besiktas finally shifted to the more 4-2-3-1, perhaps. I think Diaby was playing more behind Umut, but for me, I think I've been saying this for weeks now. The issue is that Avcı is holding on to that 4-3-3 too much, too tightly, and he's forcing Adem Laic to play too far away from goal in the left-sided central midfielder role rather than behind the striker where his natural position is. And later in the match, when Laic came on the pitch and shifted into that central attacking midfielder role behind Umut Naderi, he took Diaby's place behind the striker, and Diaby went out right because I think Laic came on for Lens. We also saw that that Laic becomes a lot more effective the closer you put him to goal, because he is the one who managed to play the ball through to Caner, set up that cross on the left, and ultimately led to the goal.
Yeah, definitely. And also, when things didn't work out, Abdullah Avcı made the difference on their style of play and made a radical change, like a thing. And this is actually pretty similar to how Ersun Yanal did against Galatasaray. He also played with a 4-4-2 with more midfield kind of players like Ozan and Tolga Ciğerci. But Besiktas relied on more pacey players like Diaby, like Lens. So, and as we mentioned before, Terim started the game with the same exact formation, with the same exact players as previous weeks. He indeed is so stubborn in his choices, and it's really hard to convince him what he doing is wrong, because he doesn't usually have the tendency to tell he is actually doing something wrong. He's that kind of character, He made all the transfers and selected all these players during the summer, and we ain't made any progress since this summer. Babel, Belhanda, Mariano playing really, really bad, but Terim doesn't give any chances to their alternatives, and I'm really questioning why. Also, it's another story that Linus was taken out of the squad at the beginning of the season instead of Nagatomo. The fact is that Linus would be in a better shape than both Nagatomo and Mariano at the moment if he was in the squad. But no, we cannot use him anymore. We have to wait until January. I think Terim would be adding him into the squad, but it's the matter that who is going to be excluded from the squad.
Will Terim still be around in January?
I don't know. If he doesn't get the resignation, I don't think the board will sack him. You cannot sack Terim easily.
But he was very critical of the club, of the board, of the players after the match. Didn't talk about the referee. I was surprised by that.
I think he's upset that his belief in his tactics doesn't work out well. So he's just upset about the loss in his head, in his mind.
It's really contradicting them for a coach who criticizes his own team. He criticizes his players from lacking the Galatasaray mentality. He was perhaps a little bit upset that they're not executing the plan that he wants, but yet he starts every match with the same team. That's a little odd.
Yeah, quite insisting. I don't know why. I think he tries to make something work out, but it doesn't work out. So he by now should be aware that it doesn't work out that way. So he should be producing some solutions for the thing that doesn't work out. But I don't know why. The team just goes out on the field without any training. It looks like that because whatever they do in the training sessions, I don't know what they are doing, but it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I have. When I watched, my inclination is that Galatasaray don't really have a plan, and I felt the same way a lot last season with Güneş and Besiktas, that there's not really a plan. They just rely on hoping Quaresma will cross the ball and somebody will get at the end of it. And I feel the same thing goes for Galatasaray. They just do the same thing over and over and over. Just go over those wings, try and find something over the wings, but they don't really have the presence in the box. Also,
that in Galatasaray there's a problem on the competition of the lineup. As the players are away, there's no competition at all inside the squad. They simply don't perform. As your back players don't get their shit together, our center backs need to cover for their flows, and guess what? There's a huge gap between our central defenders, and they're always busy dealing with Mariano or Nagatomo's mistakes. And it's also bad enough that our wingers, Babel and Feguli, or even Emre Mor, never come back to help their back players. And what kind of a tactic are we playing, really? I don't know what. And if you don't have the competition over the lineup, you don't get better.
Do you think? Do you think it's a clear case of Galatasaray just having a too old squad? And I don't mean that in sense of that they don't have the stamina anymore or anything like that. I don't mean that, but I was speaking to a friend of mine earlier about this, and it's quite obvious thing. I feel like that the best teams are always the teams that combine youth with experience. So you have a couple of really good experienced players, and then you have some young, hungry guys. And I feel like this Galatasaray is the exact same as the Besiktas from 2 years ago, where you had on paper a fantastic team full of guys in their early or mid-30s who have tons of experience, who have tons of individual quality, but the team just lacks hunger because you don't have those young stallions in the team. And yes, Galatasaray have 2 young center backs, but that's not the heart of the team. That's not where you need to get that youthly enthusiasm. And I think, we've spoken about it before. Henry Onyekuru, Bruma, even Gary Rodriguez when he was at Galatasaray. Those were guys that were making a little bit of the difference there. I think Babel had a good first half here, if I'm quite honest. I think in the second half, Gökhan Gönül got the better of him. But in the first half, I felt like he was your most dangerous player. Gökhan managed to push him out enough, so he didn't allow him to cut in to look for his shot, but he got in a couple of dangerous crosses, and he was allowed to cross every single time, and I think that was that he was definitely one of your more dangerous players. I don't necessarily agree with the constant criticism of him. I think he does help out on the defense. I think he had a couple of good interceptions at the defense in the first half, but is he maybe just a little bit of the scapegoat for the team that's just not going very well right now? It seems like an engine that won't get running properly.
Babel, after the celebration he did when he scored his last goal,
last week.
You talk about me like shit, and I'm scoring the goal, but he doesn't. Yeah, easy the opposition, you can score the goal, but where are you in the big matches?
Yeah, but he's not supposed to do it all alone, and maybe you're just lacking something else. Maybe there's a creative lack in midfield.
The thing is, he is a different kind of winger what we had in the previous years. Like it started with when you call Bruma, then Gary came, and after Gary gone, Onyekuru came, and after Onyekuru left, Babel is a different type of player than these guys because he doesn't have the endurance and
he doesn't have the same blistering speed as Onyekuru or Bruma. I'm not saying that Babel is slow. But
also, he's not even eager. He's fed up from the game. You don't see him performing in the second half. He's just gets all tired or don't want to deal with the game. All he does is screen the ball and after getting it, and if he gets past the players, he just passes it or he loses it, and he never makes off the ball runs for the team's sake. No player in Galatasaray makes some off the ball runs.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of similar frustrations as we have had, as Besiktas fans have had over the last 2 seasons or so. I think people always point to individuals, but I think that's really a team issue where players aren't making off the ball runs and stuff. I think that has to do with the fact that players just lack a lot of confidence, not just in themselves but also in the team. There's why make runs if the balls aren't going to be coming, and then vice versa. Why give the balls if the runs aren't being made?
Yeah, there's a huge connection issue. Yeah, huge connection issue. Belhanda not performing well, then Babel not perform well, and Babel when he goes in the wing doesn't pass the ball to his back to Nagatomo when he does a forward run, and similar with Mariano. Mariano played really bad in the game, to be honest. The worst player for Galatasaray, I can say.
What about Belhanda? Let's throw Özer a bone. What did you think of
Belhanda? Played really bad too,
And should he have been playing after last week's outburst?
I think Terim thought that he's away from his fans that booed him, so he could make a use of it, but no, because the thing is about the lineup competition, the competition squad I said earlier. Belhanda even played when he's injured from his jaw. He just played with a broken jaw with a giant mask on his face, and it's never too comfy. He
took it off. He took it off in the first. Was it against Fenerbahce that he made his return?
I think so. I don't know.
Or which game was that? But he just took it off after 20 minutes.
we have the youngsters and Turkish subs, like Adem, Ömer, Emre Mor, Şener, and our youngsters Atalay, Yunus, and etc. And I cannot see Atalay being played by Fatih Terim in any game, even though Belhanda is nowhere near in the healthy to play, eligible to play. Even when he's injured or suspended for the game, he doesn't give chances to any of his youngsters. You have to create some opportunities for them to win them. Yeah, even when Ömer plays really good game, next week he's not there. He's just on the bench.
But he was suspended for this match.
Yeah, I know. Adem, why not try Adem for Babel? After he came in, we took our first attempted shot on target.
Yeah, Adam's header, right?
Yeah, Adam's header. So no dynamism in our squad or anything else. Even Feguli is dead. Feguli, Belhanda, and Mariano all dead. How can they go that badly in their physical aspect? How can they be that bad? Aren't they given any training? Or aren't they working hard?
Of course, we jumped the gun last season, I think, on calling Galatasaray out of the title race. I think we jumped the gun this season with Basaksehir. Let's jump the gun again. What do you think is Galatasaray's chances at the title this season? How do you see that?
None. I don't see any. None.
Okay.
To be clear.
Well, just to be clear, I don't really think that Besiktas have a chance either.
No.
I have another question, but I'm going to pose it to all of you. Who is going to last longest, Fatih Terim or Abdullah Avcı? Burak, I'm going to go with you first.
I think Abdullah Avcı is going to last longer. I think Fatih Terim, the fraud, is going to be found out, and he's going to go and try and dislodge Şenol Güneş as the manager of the national team, because that's what this fucker does. Galatasaray national team, money.
Maybe you can go coach Adanaspor after this.
Maybe hopefully he just fucks off there and just disappears.
Yakup, what do you think? Who's out first, Avcı or Terim?
I think Avcı, because the fans pretty much hate him already. The team is rubbish. The team is playing rubbish because of him. I'm not going to say it's because of him, but it's a big reason why. And I can see.
I'd say the injuries are the big reason.
Yeah, the injuries are fucked up. But I can see Galatasaray just going mental in the winter break and getting some dumb players, and I can see just Fatih Terim turning it around. And I already hate it. If it was my choice, I would say I would love to see Terim go, because I hate pretty much everything about the guy. But I think he's going to outlast. Avcı.
Okay. Personally, I think Avcı's got his mandate until January. That's what the new Besiktas president Ahmet Nur Çebi said. He's gonna give Avcı until January and then see. Now Besiktas have a string of matches coming up, which on paper should be easier. They should be getting some wins. Of course, they still have the Fenerbahce derby, but apart from that, they still play Antalyaspor, Kayserispor. So some easier games, quote unquote. Gençlerbirliği is still in there too. So they should have some winnable matches coming up. Maybe they'll have some players returning from injury and staying healthy. Knock on wood. So maybe this is the start for the turnaround for Besiktas. I don't really think so, but at the end of the day, the difference with the top right now is just 6 points. So you never know. But for me, I think it's a matter of whether Terim decides he's had enough before January or not. I'm pretty sure Avcı probably will be out the door in January. Not that I think that's necessarily the right decision or the wrong decision. I'm not going to say anything. But Umut, what do you think? Who's out first, Avcı or Terim?
I think Terim has all the credit until he resigns. Nobody's going to sack him before he does want to. Avcı is is on his first ride with a big team. So even though he achieved too much with Basaksehir, he has more to prove with Besiktas as well. But he's not going very well. Galatasaray win may be deceiving. Galatasaray is in a really bad shape, and this win doesn't mean anything at all. But it's a good positive thing as he changed the formation about how to play against Galatasaray, and he did play it really well, and he got his win against a big team, and it's a positive for him. I think he needs to, as you said before, and as you president told, he needs time until January, and let's see how it goes.
Another question, maybe. Do you think this is Terim's last stint, or will he be called in again in 1 or 2 years as the savior?
I wish, because a big team like Galatasaray never be reliant on somebody, guy, when they are falling apart. It's like Manchester United trying to call Alex Ferguson when they're down, but he's strongly agree.
Maybe they've tried. I bet they've given him a ring or two.
Yeah, but no, because we need to find youngsters, like
Okan Buruk.
young. Yeah, kind of. Okan Buruk can be good. Hamza could be good. Like,
Hamza, really?
It doesn't mean it's good or bad. We should give them chances. Without giving them chances, we can't find anything. And the thing is about them, they don't even grow any predecessors. Not predecessor.
Successors.
Yeah, successors after them. How Piontek did with Mustafa Denizli, or what Piontek did with Terim, and Mustafa Denizli was under Yup Darwal at the time, and they came out from their tutors, teachers, that can be said. Their coaches were taught all of them to them, but they didn't even do the same. Mustafa Denizli just retired without giving any good coach to Turkish football, and Terim did the same. Hasan Şaş or Levan Şahin not gonna be the successor of him.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. That Terim probably doesn't want someone to, doesn't want competition for his spot. Final question: did anyone for Besiktas, for example, stand out to you as having played a really good game? Somebody that maybe surprised you?
Umut Naderi, obviously.
What did you think about Umut Naderi battling it out with Marcao and Luyendama?
He's eager to play because I think he also knows that it's the only chance he can shine his name up in this season. It's never easy to play under a player like Burak and his quality, and he really did his game at the best and scored his goal with a brilliant header, and he also missed a lot of goals in the game. So it means that he found chances, even though he's been defended by Luyendama and Marcao. Marcao is in a bad shape as well. He's not a good player. He's a good player, but at the time he's not giving his 100%. And we can say that also the issue with Falcao. Where is he? What is he doing? He's been bought, but
that's the big question, I think, on every Galatasaray fan's lips. Burak, what do you think? Falcao, are we going to still see him in action this season, or is he just going to stay in the medical bay?
I think Falcao is going to do as little as possible whilst earning as much as possible. I think there's that there's that famous Recep İvedik clip from this film. It's like, oh, Bele Mario, oh, Küçük Mario. And I think that is him whenever he goes into the medical room saying so. We'll see him. He might get a few goals, but he's still got a long way if he wants to match the goal scoring prowess of Ozan Tufan and Zanka Matthijs Jorgensen. I think he's the type of player that you need to put it on a plate for him, and when you do, he'll finish. Because
Andone had an opportunity in this match. I think that if Falcao was there, he probably would have put it away.
Yeah, I just think Falcao just doesn't care. He arrived with this big old fanfare, but he's just completely stripping the club of all their money. And if I was a Galatasaray fan, I'd just be furious, especially with the rumours coming out that he's apparently been past fit, but he's like, oh, my leg, it hurts. My neck, it hurts.
That was shot down, though. That was, I think, denied.
Yes, of course it's going to be denied, but, I think, Özer said last week he hopes that there's not something more sinister going on behind the scenes, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's moved on in January. But it's become an absolute farce. It's,
if it's an issue of him not getting paid or something, then it might definitely be. Quick thoughts on the derby though, on El Spastico, Burak.
It's a bit shit, really, wasn't it?
I actually rather thought it was a good game. I was surprised. I was expecting a really poor display from both sides, but I felt it was actually a rather entertaining match. A lot of back and forth from one side of the pitch to the other, not too much nervous defending as usually it is between Fenerbahce and Galatasaray. This was more open.
Yeah, it was definitely a more open and entertaining game than the Fenerbahce Galatasaray. We call it El Crapico, and between these two supposedly teams that are out of form, but they seem to just go for it. And in the end, it was just a good quality cross from Janad, a good finish from Umut Naderi, and like you said at the end, Necip tried to equal it up by trying to head over Karius, but the God of Thunder himself managed to just grab it with just like a normal catch. And it'll be interesting to see what happens next week when Galatasaray go. I think they go away. They play at home to Rizespor, who are not doing too well, but it's Ismail Kartal, right?
Yeah.
So you've got another Fener man arriving at the Turk Telecom Arena, so who knows what can happen.
What's your take on all the criticism that Loris Karius tends to get? He seems to be such a popular target, and I mainly see this stemming from the English media who seem to love to just demolish him.
Yeah, well, the English media are just an absolute bunch of toe rag shitheads that can go fuck themselves. So it is, he's an easy target. He's had maybe one or two, mistakes whilst he's at Besiktas, but he's always going to be remembered for that Champions League final. No matter how much of a good goalkeeper he is now, and the performances he's putting in, like you said, he put in a good performance midweek against in the UEFA, in the Europa League, and then against Galatasaray at the weekend. I think he's just unfairly vilified because, like you say, he is an easy target, and the good things he does don't get picked up on, and every little error he makes is just amplified, mountain out of a molehill. That type of situation happened here.
So the Turkish media seems to just join in the party, I feel like.
Of course, that's what the media does, isn't it? They love a pity party, and then, so. But I think he's shown good character to kind of brush that side and rise above it, and hopefully he can keep this form up. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season, though. I don't know.
I don't think he'll be staying. I think I think for him this is a temporary stop, and you know what? Frankly, for 8 million, I wouldn't want Besiktas to take him. Despite the fact that I think he's a fine goalkeeper, I just don't think that 8 million is something Besiktas should be spending on anyone, let alone a goalkeeper right now. Yakup, your quick thoughts on the match? You're usually forced to watch Besiktas games, so I'm sure that your friend forced you to watch this one.
This one I actually skipped because I watched the Derby game like 4 years ago, and the boredom almost killed me. So I made it a point to
not watch a game.
Which one was that? Besiktas derbies usually aren't.
No,
that
not the
boring.
Besiktas derby. It was probably a Fener Galatasaray derby where they didn't fight. Normally they
Right.
fight, so it's kind of entertaining. But yeah, I heard from my friend just WhatsApped me and he said goal amına koyayım, and I thought, oh, so I guess they scored, and he couldn't believe it either. But I'm happy to see a player like Umut Naderi get on the board. It's really hard for him with Burak and even Güven in front of him. It's really hard for him to get playing time, and it's always nice to see young players do well and perform in the league.
He's not that young though. He's like 26 already.
In Turkish standards, he's pretty much a talent. Yeah. So it's nice.
I've gone on record saying that I think Umut Naderi is a perfect third striker for any team because he's low on wages. He's gonna be satisfied with sitting on the bench. He's gonna be ready to come off the bench whenever that's needed. I don't think a third striker needs to be of a similar caliber as the first striker. I think obviously you want your second striker to be as close in quality as possible to your first striker, but I think as a third striker, Umut Naderi is a perfect player. I think I've gone on record last week on last Black Eagles podcast saying that I would be happy with seeing Umut at Besiktas for 4 or 5 more years as a third option because he's cheap and because he's a tall body you can throw in if you need a goal late on. Maybe you'll get lucky and get in the end of it. I think he's lacking in quality overall. You can see that he's not up to this level. But he works really hard. He tries really hard. He weighs on the defense, something that Güven Yalçın doesn't do, in my opinion. And yeah, right now, as long as Burak is injured, I hope Umut continues to start, and I think he will after this. Well, let's move on to the final match we have on Monday. We had Basaksehir Trabzonspor. I think last week I pointed this one out as maybe the highlight of the match day, and it kind of turned out to be that because it ended in a 2-2 draw. It was still 0-0 in the 60th minute, but then Trabzonspor won a penalty. Daniel Sturridge stepped up, converted really coolly. Then Edin Visca 6 minutes later stepped up for his shot at a penalty spot kick, converted 2-1. Then in the 78th minute, Martin Skrtel scored, made it 2-1 for Basaksehir, and it seemed like that was going to be the full-time scoreline, but in the 6th minute of stoppage time, who else but Alexander Surlov pops up on a corner and makes it 2-2. Yakup, tell us a little bit more. Talk us through this match, please.
So, I have been saying for the last year plus that the derbies that Trabzonspor plays in for the last 4 years have been the most entertaining. So, I couldn't wait to watch this match. Basaksehir is a really good team. Okan Buruk seems to have a little bit turned the ship around. Put it in the right spot. They were really motivated after the Europa League game, after the win. This was the game featuring, in my opinion, the 2 best goalkeepers in the Turkish league. One side you have Mert, the other side you have. And it was a game of. It was a really entertaining game. If the match ended 2-1 for Basaksehir, I wouldn't be angry. I would say, yeah, they deserved it. If we won 2-1, I would say the same. The draw, it's also the same. It's a really good match between 2 teams. Irfan Can at Basaksehir, I really like the guy. I hope he goes for a bigger team than Basaksehir. And I don't mean in Turkey. I hope that he goes abroad because he really showed this match that he's a really good player. Of Emre as a player that Emre was last year. He seems to step up.
Can you check your microphone, please? You're cracking up a lot.
Is this a lot better?
Yeah, that's better.
So, as I said, Irfan Can is a really good player. He showed it a lot this match. He made it really difficult for our defenders. Crivelli was really dangerous. There was a position in the first 25th minute or something where Trabzonspor had 4 shots on goal in 10 seconds, but in true Trabzonspor fashion, they just, one of them Mert got, one of them the players missed, and it just kept going like that the whole game. We came to the goal and Mert stopped us. Başakşehir came to our goal and Uğurcan stopped them. It was a good game from both sides. The goal, the penalty, the first one, I don't know. His arm was really weird. Skrtel's arm. So I think that was a correct penalty. The goal from the penalty that Visha took, a really nice shot, a nice shot in the goal, and I thought maybe that Uğurcan could have gotten a red card, because it was a pretty dangerous move, but the defenders were pretty fast and they would have closed the gap if Crivelli got the ball. So
It doesn't matter. You don't get a red for that anymore.
Okay.
Last man doesn't. Only if you're making a reckless challenge or something. If it's like a really dangerous challenge and it could have injured him, but I think it was fair game for the ball, and that was a yellow.
Okay. Yeah,
but the man of the law will.
There was a spot in the first half where Crivelli got the ball in his arm. There was a little bit of penalty shouts on Twitter. I don't think it was a penalty, to be fair. It was just an unfortunate moment, and he had his arms on his side, so I don't think it should have been a penalty. But as I said, the game was a really nice one. It's good to see Sturridge get on the score sheet. I was really sad to see that he was taken off of the match day squad in the Europa League because he had some little nagging injury, I think. The penalty that Basaksehir got, I don't know who it was. I think it was Visha that put Crivelli in the position with a really great pass.
Mm-hmm.
He's also a player that I think he should go to a bigger club and not like a Galatasaray or Fenerbahce or a Besiktas, but just to Europe.
Yeah, but the clock's running out on him. I think he's gonna be 30 this season, so I think he missed his opportunity. Sevilla were sniffing around him 2 years ago or so, I believe, when Monchi was there before he went to Roma, and now he's back, of course. But I think at this point, Visca's age is gonna be an issue.
I mean, I can still see him going, but I think that Basaksehir is going to really want a lot of money for him, and that's going to
10
scare
million
away a lot of players.
10 million is their supposed price. That's what they wanted from Besiktas at the beginning of the season. So
not
worth it, in my opinion.
After the second goal that Basaksehir had, there was a position where Skrtel got kicked Sørloth in the back. He didn't get a second yellow. That one pissed me off a little bit. But I think it fueled Sørloth again because finally we had a good cross from a corner kick, and Sørloth, the king of the north.
Was it Sosa's corner, by the way?
No, it was Yusuf Sarı. So that was a little bit weird, because Sosa doesn't take good corners. I told you a bit, and you agree with me. But as I said,
he had a good spell with us, I think, where he took some good set pieces. But all in all, yeah.
Yeah, he ran his ass off today, man. He had a lost ball and he tracked back like 50, 60 meters, and that Besiktas friend of mine was angry. He told me he didn't do he didn't do that when he was playing with us.
No, that's not true. He's always done that. That's always been his strength. The fact I always felt like Sosa was it was not the most talented 10 we've ever had, nowhere near even, but he was definitely the hardest working. You don't see that with those types of players. He's not a traditional 10, but he's an attacking midfielder. I know at Trabzon he plays a little deeper, but at Atletico Madrid was used a lot on the wing and stuff. But with us, he was mainly, the 10 in our midfield, really. And I know he exchanged a lot with Ozzy, but he worked his ass off, and that's what made him so important in that system. Because if I'm looking at individual talent, honestly, I think Adem Laic is head and shoulder above him, but you're not going to see Laic do that. And that's what makes Sosa such a special player.
Oh, I'm going to say that you disagree with him. It's going to shatter his walls. But
I've never been a Sosa fan when it comes to pure talent, but when it comes to work rate, I've not seen many 10s that do that.
Yeah, especially at the age he's in.
Yeah, for sure.
But as I said in the beginning, it was a really great match. I think both teams deserved more. I wouldn't. I would obviously be unhappy if Basaksehir got the 3 points, but I wouldn't say that it wasn't deserved. Both teams really played really good, and it was a nice battle of the
giants, if you can say that a little bit. I don't think you can say that, but yeah, really great match.
Yeah, I think you kind of were unfortunate to play Basaksehir now and not like a month or so before. I think when Fenerbahce played them, they were struggling. The first 5 or so match days, Basaksehir were really struggling, but Okan Buruk has turned things around now. They're one of the more solid teams in the league once again. They're at the top of the table, near the top of the table. I don't think it's a coincidence. They've worked their socks off to get there. Crivelli, like you pointed out, he's really working out for them. I mockingly said he reminded me of, what's his face again, Burak? The guy you got from Switzerland last season?
Michael Frey.
Yeah, like, because posture-wise, he reminds me of him. Like, he kind of looks like a little stocky.
And
like
his hair as well.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Michael Frey. So early on in the season, I think when he, like, after his first matches for Basaksehir and he didn't impress me, I was like, he kind of reminds me of that guy. But I have to eat my words on him because I think he's one of the best strikers in the league right now. I mean, obviously, Vedat and then Surlov are number 1 and number 2 in my opinion. But I think in terms of performing right now, I think Crivelli is probably top 4 besides Papi Cisse, who of course obviously the top scorer in the league. But I wouldn't, if you'd give me the choice, I wouldn't take Cisse in my team. I would take one of those 3. Rather than Cisse. So I've come around on Alexander Surlov as well.
We got you.
No. You need to be willing to revisit your opinions and to change them in football, because players change, players evolve, players get better, players decline. Sometimes, you just haven't seen enough of a player to make a proper assessment, like with Crivelli, for example. But yeah, Trabzonspor, Basaksehir playing 2-2 draw, 2 formidable sides, and with 9 matches on the table now. Let's head into the standings quickly. So Alanyaspor are still number 1 in the league with 18 points after their 1-1 draw this weekend, but Fenerbahce are closing in. They're now on 17 points and they're in 2nd position. And then Sergen Yalçın's Yeni Malatyaspor are in 3rd position, believe it or not. They're on 16 points, level with Trabzonspor, but Yeni Malatyaspor have the better goal differential. And then closing out the top 5 is Sivasspor with 15 points, level with Basaksehir actually, but Sivasspor here having the better goal differential. Then Galatasaray and Besiktas are sitting in 7 and 8 respectively. Galatasaray have 13 points, Besiktas now have 12 points, and that's the same amount of points as Konyaspor, of course. Now let's head over to the bottom of the table. There we have Kayserispor rock bottom with 4 points, and then we have Gençlerbirliği sitting on 5, if I'm not mistaken. No, 6 points. My mistake. And then Ankaragücü are dropping in the bottom 3 with 9 points on level points with Göztepe. So Göztepe and Ankaragücü are in 15th and 16th position. Papi Cisse is obviously the top scorer in the league with 9 goals out of 9 matches. And Adis Jahović has 8 goals, but 3 of those have come from the penalty spot. Cisse has scored no penalties, so Cisse, in my book, 4 goals ahead. No, penalties count too, of course. Now let's quickly head over to next week's fixtures. We have Galatasaray taking on Rizespor on Friday. Then we have Konyaspor, Gençlerbirliği, Alanyaspor, Istanbul Basaksehir, Trabzonspor, Göztepe, and Antalyaspor taking on Besiktas. Is that the 3rd home game for Antalyaspor in a row? Because last week they lost 6-0 to Gençlerbirliği. Now they lost 1-2.
They played away against Sivas this weekend.
Oh, right. Yeah, 2 red and white teams confused me. Okay, so they're back at home then against Besiktas. Maybe let's hope for Besiktas that they can string a couple of wins together. That will be interesting for their season. But of course, I'm not going to turn into TRT Spor here. So hopefully for Antalyaspor, they can rebound from their poor run of form. Then on Sunday, Denizlispor host, I was going to say Bursa, but it's Sivasspor. Then Kasımpaşa host Yeni Malatyaspor, and Kayserispor host Fenerbahce. And then finally, on Monday, we have Ankara-Gücü Gaziantep Football Club, and that's the fixtures for the next match day 10. Quickly going to jump to the man of the law on those two penalties, Burak, because I forgot. What did you think of Trabzonspor's penalty, and what did you think of Basaksehir's penalty? And is there anything else in this match that you feel needs addressing?
The penalty that Trabzon were awarded, clear handball by Skirtle, hand up. That's the law. That's a penalty. Hand unnatural position makes the body bigger, hits the hand, 100% penalty.
Yeah. And we learned between Galatasaray Kayserispor that intent doesn't matter anymore if you're blocking a shot going towards goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was a header from super close, so no way that he did that intentional. But
exactly, his hand was up there at the moment. It was just like, sorry, Martin, penalty. And then the one that Basaksehir were given straight away, definitely a penalty. It's whether it should have been a red card or not for dangerous play, which is because his feet left the ground, but it wasn't a really solid contact. I'm making a fist noise here, but it wasn't really a solid contact with the Basaksehir player. So I think that a yellow card was probably a fair call there, because like we know, you don't get a double red card, you don't get a penalty and a red card unless it's severely dangerous play, like a punch or like a kick, or
or if you're like handling the ball out of goal or something, that's still a red card.
Exactly. So I think that was a fair call. The other thing that should be taken into account was there was a lot of stoppage time played at the end of the game. I think they announced 5 or 6 minutes, and Trabzon scored well after that had passed. But we all know that there's always extra time. The referee's entitled to add on some extra time on top of the allotted given extra time by the fourth official. I would just say, was it a little bit more than the ref should have played? That's debatable. So
they got some Fatih Terim minutes.
Fatih time, Terim time, shall we call it? But it was just a well contested game, like Yakup was saying. It's just Trabzon's games against these the bigger clubs, they just seem to be entertaining, whether it's a goal fest or not. There just always seems to be fast-paced football. Like I say, I may have written off Basaksehir a little bit too soon when we started this podcast early in the season, because they seem to be finding their rhythm. And like next week, it's going to be interesting when they take on Alanya as well. So it is being played in Alanya at 2:30. But
match of the week, perhaps.
Probably. But also, I know Basaksehir are not going to have to put up with the temperature, because I think it's getting a lot cooler now for this time of the year in Alanya. So not like where Fenerbahce went, when it was absolutely just sweating their bollocks off. But yeah, let's see what happens when those two teams come together, because they're obviously both in a good run of form. But yeah, apart from that, I think there's nothing really else to say on the match. They were both.
Just the mind games on that on Trabzonspor's penalty. I was really happy Sturridge scored, because it brought me back to that penalty Besiktas got in Kadıköy once, where Bilica decided to absolutely destroy the penalty spot, and where it took like half a century for the penalty to be taken. And I think Bobo missed that penalty even. After that bit of intimidation. So I was really happy here that Sturridge scored, because I think Skrtel went up to him or something, and then Mert was like refusing to go and stand on his line, dragging things out, trying to get Sturridge out of his concentration. I think that should immediately result in yellow cards. That kind of stuff should not go.
I like it.
Sturridge and Skrtel were playing, were talking the whole match, because they used to be teammates. But I also got like Vietnam flashbacks. When he took the slow steps, I thought like, oh my God, it's Burak again, and he's going to miss it. But he got it, and the point you were trying to
that's
make...
what I got on the week with Laic against Braga. As soon as I saw that run, I was like, he's fucking missing. You just see it sometimes. But with Sturridge here, he was composed. With Laic, it was more of nervosity. I think there's a difference between a composed, slow walk up and a unconfident one that Laic had, I felt.
I too said that Laic was going to miss it, and I got punched in the shoulder because he did miss it. So, don't do that.
Should have been retaken, though. The goalkeeper was off his line way too quickly. But I didn't actually see it. Did he touch it and then push it against the post, or did Laic just hit the post and then it hit the keeper?
I think it hit the post. It looked really close.
Anyway, I think that'll do it for this edition of the Football a la Turca. Thank you guys very much. Umut, thanks again, of course, for joining us live from the UK. And Burak, of course, man of the law, thank you for shedding your wisdom on all the positions that we had this week. And you know what curious is? A curious fact of this match day, there were no red cards whatsoever. Just 2 for managers that got ejected, I think. But no red cards for infield players. That's a curious statistic, I would say.
It's the week of friendship in the Turkish Super League.
Yeah, week of friendship, week of harmony. Thank you very much for listening to Football a la Turca. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Google Play or wherever you're listening. Give us a review if you haven't done that yet. 5 stars, please. That would help us quite a bit. And, of course, share with your friends and family. And because we have been told that the music in our podcast is a little bit distracting, the overlay music, not the intro and stuff like that. So we're going to omit that this week. If you want it back, let us know on Twitter. But if you're fine with it not being there, that's also fine, of course. So then you'll be happy campers. So guys, once again, thank you very much for joining me for this episode. And I'll see you again next week.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you then. Let us know if you want us to talk about anything in particular. And our DMs are open. So slide right in.
Have a nice
week.
week.
Make it sound gross.